this video is obviously of my sixth grade Spanish class. In this video, we're focused on standards one, learner development, standard two, learning differences, and standard three, learning environments. So essentially, the focus was did I show in a successful way that I can kind of differentiate content based on what the students know. Do I know about, how I should be teaching content for sixth grade students, for middle school students? And then do I create a positive environment for these students, that's respectful, between peers, between peer and teacher? And then, so do I create engagement? Are students actually speaking? Do they seem engaged in the class? And things like that. So after watching the video, could you speak at all to any of those three standards?
Absolutely. The one that stands out to me, Jimmy, is like it's a really nice learning environment for the students. I feel like you've set up a system where the kids feel comfortable talking. And, like when we're acquiring a second language, we talk about that affective filter. And they've got to feel comfortable. And you can tell that the students in your class do that. So that was the first thing that I really liked. I love the idea of getting them into the pair so every student's talking and listening actively rather than like one student doing it and everybody else listening to them. So that was really good. And you could hear some of those students' conversations. And I tell you, man, for sixth grade Spanish 1, those kids are doing okay. And you can tell also, more importantly, they're willing to take risks and make mistakes. So I think that speaks really well to the learning environment in the class.
Awesome. Yeah. And, as we all know, every student is so different within a classroom. So I try to put them into groups that kind of shines on their differences, shines on what one student is good at and what one student could improve on a little bit. For example, I have one student who is very intelligent, and just in talking with other teachers is someone who can comprehend everything, but just I think this was her first Spanish class ever. So it's been pretty difficult for her to be outspoken and to actually, try to actually communicate the language. So she's really good at writing and things like that.
That
But
Kate?
what's that?
Was that Kate?
That was Kate. Yeah, exactly.
So, and I had Kate in history class last semester, and similar thing. And I don't know, it looked like she was doing awesome. Like I was really pleased because I'd have a hard time like pulling stuff out of her. It's in there, but in terms of like sharing orally, but it looked like she was paired up with that other student, and for whatever reason that I was impressed that she spoke as much as she did.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing, and I think it's definitely not perfect, but I try out different pairings and different groups and see how it works, and not always try to put a student with, their best friend or the person that they get most along with, so that they can also work a little bit on their social skills and try to work with somebody new and figure out, how can they have a conversation with someone who maybe seems a little bit different than them, especially, boy girl groups and things like that as well.
That's something that I still work on too, is like when and how do you pair kids, like the homogenous pairing where it's like two strong kids or two weak kids and let them work together. And there's a place for that. Or the heterogeneous, when you can have a stronger kid that's bringing up a weaker kid and the stronger kid gets to reteach it. And that's what it looked like to me on that particular case. But I think, what I'm impressed with, Jimmy, in your first year of teaching is you're asking the right questions, and you're thinking about the right things as you're doing things. And it's an art, and there's not a formula to figure these things out. But I'm impressed that you're really conscientious of all of these planning and questions about like how we're going to group the students.
Yeah, and I will say, just kind of separate from this video, now that we've started a new quarter, I have one group of students. I have a class with 5 students, sixth grade students, 3 boys, 2 girls, and it's definitely going to be a challenge for me because the 2 girls, one of them is actually already a Spanish speaker, as has been an issue throughout this whole year for me, that the administration puts Spanish speakers in my first year Spanish class. But the other girl is very smart. I can already tell, but both very quiet. So they're not trying to really take over the class. And then the 3 boys, one of them is one of them that we just talked about in Kid Talk is Carson Clapp, and he's a good kid. I mean, he's a sweet kid. You know, I already see it in just 2 classes with him, but he just eggs on the other two boys really often, and I can just see, you know, he makes a joke and they just are giggling all the time. So it's gonna be hard, and I'm gonna have to, you know, do a lot of trial and error just to try to figure out what's the correct pairing for this class, you know, because I want him to be positive. I want him to enjoy the class, but at the same time, I can't really have them goofing off all the time, obviously, and disconnecting. And you know, if he says a joke and the other two are, though they're smart kids, you know, they're egging him on, and they kind of like that energy at the same time. It's really difficult to, even in only a class of 5, to keep everybody engaged when these girls, you know, I can tell that they want to learn, but they don't want to also, you know, confront these 3 boys who are really just taking the energy out of the classroom all the time. So that's
Well,
going to be something difficult.
yeah, welcome to education.
Yeah.
It's like you think you got something dialed, and then like just a small little like tweak in the force, and all of a sudden it's a very different feel. I've had small classes where like an addition of one student totally bombed the class, or I've had them where like an addition of 2 students totally brought the class up. And so we're dealing with little humans, and that human element is always there. My personal issue this semester, I've got a second period class with like 9 girls and a boy, and then a third period class with 9 boys, the opposite,
Mm-hmm.
9 boys and 1 girl.
Completely different class.
It's very different. So but it's great that you're thinking about and considering all of those things. And how can, you know, I mean, you can see from our Kid Talk today, how can you motivate and you know, honor a kid like Carson while not letting him detract from other students learning. And
Yeah.
that's always like kind of the red line I keep with kids' behaviors. Once their behavior starts to interfere with other kids learning, that's when you kind of really got to focus on that a little bit and step in and not let them do that.
Yeah. So we'll see. That'll be, I'm sure, a future conversation that we'll have as to how that's going.
And keep
But
having.
yeah,
That's one for the ages.
yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for discussing that video. And I look forward to talking to you soon about my second video as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. We'll see you, bud.